Look, we need to talk about pets. Not the cute Instagram posts or the baby talk voices we all secretly use. We're talking about the psychological warfare your furry overlords wage on your brain chemistry, and spoiler alert, you're losing in the best possible way. You see that person walking their dog at 6 in the morning, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else? That's actually a hostage situation disguised as pet ownership. Except the Stockholm Syndrome comes with measurable mental health benefits, which makes it arguably the most productive form of kidnapping in human history. Let's start with the obvious one. Your pet is basically a four-legged personal trainer who doesn't charge by the hour and judges you way less than that CrossFit instructor. Dogs especially are like that friend who guilt trips you into going to the gym, except they can't cancel last minute because they're hungover. When Rover stares at you with those eyes that say, "We haven't walked in 3 hours and I'm going to lose my mind," you're getting a direct injection of motivation that bypasses all your excuses about the weather or your busy schedule. The exercise thing isn't just about burning calories while your dog investigates every single blade of grass like it holds the secrets of the universe. Physical activity releases neurotransmitters, those chemical messengers that basically text your brain saying, "Hey, maybe life isn't completely terrible today." It's like natural antidepressants, except instead of side effects, you get a dog who's so happy they can't contain themselves and starts doing that spinning thing that makes no evolutionary sense whatsoever. But here's where it gets weird. Animals have this supernatural ability to detect when you're having what we'll politely call a moment. They're like emotional bloodhounds, except instead of tracking criminals, they're tracking your mental breakdown from 2 rooms away. Your cat suddenly becomes affectionate when you're sad, which is suspicious because cats are typically about as emotionally available as a brick wall with commitment issues. Dogs will literally change their entire personality based on your mood. Feeling anxious? Here comes your golden retriever acting like a therapy dog who somehow got their certification through pure instinct. Feeling lonely? Your normally independent cat suddenly decides your laptop keyboard is the perfect place for a nap, coincidentally forcing you to take a break from spiraling through social media. Here's something nobody tells you about pet ownership. You never get to have that existential crisis about having no purpose in life. You know why? Because at 7 a.m. sharp, there's a creature who needs breakfast and doesn't care about your philosophical struggles with meaning. Your bird doesn't want to hear about your quarter-life crisis. They want their seeds, and they want them now. This creates what psychologists would call external motivation, but what pet owners call being emotionally blackmailed by something that weighs 12 pounds. It's impossible to stay in bed contemplating the meaninglessness of existence when there's a living thing depending on you for basic survival. It's like having a tiny, furry life coach who communicates primarily through staring and strategic use of bathroom emergencies. The loneliness thing is where pets really flex their psychological muscles. You can't feel completely isolated when there's a creature who follows you to the bathroom like you're the most fascinating person in the world. Sure, they might just be hoping you'll drop food, but the emotional impact is the same. You've got a companion who thinks your daily routine is worthy of a documentary. And let's talk about the therapeutic benefits of having someone to talk to who will never interrupt you, never give unsolicited advice, and never judge you for eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row. Your pet is basically a therapist who works for kibble and belly rubs. They're excellent listeners, mainly because they don't have a choice, but also because they genuinely seem interested in your problems, even if they're probably just waiting for you to say the word walk. If you've been thinking about hitting that subscribe button, now might be a good time since we're about halfway through this psychological pet analysis, and things are about to get even weirder. Pets force structure into your life, whether you want it or not. Suddenly you have feeding schedules, walking schedules, vet appointments, and grooming sessions. It's like having a personal assistant who communicates through strategic destruction of household items when their needs aren't met. This routine creation is actually crucial for mental health, especially for people dealing with depression or anxiety. When your brain feels like chaos, having predictable responsibilities can anchor you to reality. But here's the social aspect that nobody sees coming. Pets are basically wingmen who work for free and never steal your thunder. Walking a dog turns you into a magnet for conversations with strangers. Suddenly, you're part of this secret society of pet owners who will stop everything to discuss their animal's personality quirks like they're analyzing Shakespeare. Dog parks become networking events where the main topic is whose pet has the most ridiculous behavioral problems. It's community building through shared pet trauma, and it's surprisingly effective at combating social isolation. Your awkward small talk skills don't matter when you can just point to your dog and say, "He ate a sock yesterday," and instantly connect with 3 other people whose dogs have also declared war on household textiles. The mindfulness aspect is perhaps the most sneaky psychological benefit. Try staying lost in anxious thoughts when a cat decides your chest is their new favorite sleeping spot. It's impossible to worry about tomorrow's presentation when there's a purring engine rumbling on your ribcage. Pets are like living meditation apps, except they actually work and they smell like that weird pet smell that somehow becomes comforting after a while. Dogs especially are masters of living in the moment. They approach each walk like it's the first walk ever invented, investigating the same tree they've sniffed 800 times with the enthusiasm of a scientist discovering a new species. Their joy is infectious in the most literal sense, activating mirror neurons that make you experience a fraction of their excitement about things as simple as going outside or hearing the treat bag crinkle. Research shows that pet ownership can lower blood pressure, reduce cortisol levels, and increase serotonin and dopamine production. Essentially, your pet is a pharmaceutical company with fur, distributing mood stabilizers through strategic deployment of cute behavior and unconditional love. They're like antidepressants with personality disorders and a tendency to steal your socks. The responsibility aspect teaches you to care for something other than yourself, which sounds obvious until you realize how many people struggle with basic self-care. It's easier to make sure your pet eats regularly than to remember to feed yourself, which is both sad and psychologically brilliant. You're tricking yourself into maintaining healthy routines by proxy. Here's the disclaimer part because we're talking about mental health, and I'm legally required to mention this. This video is purely for information and entertainment purposes. If you're struggling with serious mental health issues, please consider speaking with a qualified professional who has actual credentials and doesn't get their psychology degree from observing internet cat videos. The truth is, pets don't solve everything. They won't cure clinical depression or eliminate anxiety disorders. What they do is provide consistent emotional support, routine, purpose, and companionship that can significantly improve your overall mental well-being. They're like psychological first aid that happens to shed on your furniture and occasionally destroy your shoes. So there you have it. 10 ways pets psychologically manipulate you into being happier, healthier, and more socially connected. They're basically conducting behavioral therapy without a license, and somehow it works better than half the self-help books on the market. Your pet might not understand the science behind what they're doing, but they're apparently natural psychologists who specialize in unconditional love and strategic treat negotiations. Whether you're team dog, team cat, or team something more exotic that your neighbors definitely judge you for, you're participating in one of humanity's oldest forms of therapy. Just don't tell your pet how smart they are. Their egos are already big enough, and we don't need them demanding payment for their psychological services.